Hello, everybody. Oh, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a fantastic day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. First, I have a very important question to ask because this is something that I think about quite often. I would assume that everyone here listening is a part of the cryptocurrency space, the cryptocurrency community, cryptocurrency investors. How many of you actually own Bitcoin? No need to say how much, like no one needs to know how much money you have in your account. It's more of a, I'm always curious exactly how many people actually own Bitcoin. And I ask because the vast majority of the news that we get all the time, this is a daily news channel, tends to usually focus around Bitcoin because Bitcoin is Bitcoin. It's the number one coin in the market. And I mentioned before in other videos that I've heard whispers a lot from a lot of people that apparently a lot of people just invest in altcoins and have no Bitcoin, like none at all, no Satoshis. So if you could all tell me exactly how much if you own Bitcoin, and if you don't own Bitcoin, could you tell me why? Could you tell? And I ask this way: could you tell me why you would choose to personally invest in Tron, Solana, Bitcoin Cash, Satoshi's Vision, or a multitude of other coins, and you don't even have 1 million Satoshis? That is to say 0.01 Bitcoin. Is there a reason for that? Anyway, the optimistic times continue to roll forward. The last couple of weeks have been relatively good to us. The amount of optimistic news out there is quite, I don't want to use the word staggering. It's usually quite good, but for the first time in what I would say is now a number of years, everyone seems to be on the exact same playing field. So a lot of times, especially as we're gearing up for a halving, a bull market, a bull run, we get a lot of price predictions for Bitcoin where people will, about a good 80% of people will say that the market's going up. But even that tends to fluctuate as well. Not as far as like actual price fluctuations. It's more of a, we'll have people say that they believe the price is going up by 12%. Others will say a good 22%. Some will say they foresee the price going up by 55%. So that's the fluctuations in different numbers. And then we always have that good 20% or so who say, well, I expect Bitcoin to fall back down to 5,000. I think Bitcoin has to fall by 30% before we can reach a new all-time high. That's not in the mix anymore. Everyone seems to be of the mindset, or rather, the very publicized, popular analysts within the space. We're getting a lot of news from them, and it's on a near daily basis. If you've been following for the last, I want to say even month or two, it seems to be almost daily, and it's like a different person every single time. So it's not like the same person over the course of, 8 weeks, just saying the exact same ideas. But we're getting new people, or rather new popular people all the time, who they're all coming to the exact same conclusion as far as movements for prices. You might know the name. He's quite popular. His name is PlanB, the founder of the stock-to-flow ratio model, has once again expressed his strong support for Bitcoin. The analyst has predicted that Bitcoin will become rarer than gold and real estate after the halving event in April. If you've never seen the idea of rarity, so we know the entire 21 million Bitcoin thing, but a lot of people tend to place Bitcoin in the same box as gold as far as a general global mental consensus of people simply going, well, Bitcoin has a halving, gold does not. And therefore, we should be using Bitcoin more than gold because it's easier to transport. You can have all of it on a USB drive. You don't have to have trucks and bikes. Are people transporting gold on bikes? And other ways of transporting this gold around the world, Bitcoin's a lot safer. We usually don't often get the rarity aspect as far as like with Bitcoin's halving and the amount that's being produced per year or even per day comparative to gold will be less than gold. As we've gone over before a couple of months ago, the generalized idea is that gold is not as rare as people believe that it is. And also, we find new ways of producing and procuring more every single year as technology gets better and better. We figure out new ways to go deeper into the earth. And people are also trying to mine asteroids now because for some reason we're in a 1980s dystopian movie. Same exact thing with real estate. It would then be mathematically, as far as Satoshi-wise, entire Bitcoin-wise, and the amount of real estate on the planet, that Bitcoin would be rarer in this aspect. And this is what I told you before. For some, and now I know the numbers, but I don't really know the numbers as far as the nitty gritty of it. But this halving is supposed to be the turning point. And this is what I mentioned before, that it's very fascinating that BlackRock, Fidelity, et cetera, got into the market now that they were applying for there and got there. Bitcoin ETFs right before this halving. The mythology behind it is basically that this is the turning point as far as not only for rarity of Bitcoin, but for the price of Bitcoin and Bitcoin to become hyper established as an asset class in and of itself. This goes upon the lines of the companies who've gotten into it. The merging of Bitcoin with the traditional financial system. If Bitcoin's price continues to go higher as people are expecting it to go, at a certain point, it becomes an asset that other people want to own simply because the value is so high. This creates extra scarcity. This causes more people to get into the market. More companies understand what's going on. They begin to offer Bitcoin in some sort of way, either buying or selling. You can use Bitcoin to buy their products because they want to also accumulate more Bitcoin, and that begins the hyper loop, boom, boom, if you will, in the direction of hyper Bitcoinization. This is meant to be the turning point, the literal 2024 halving, and then it's supposed to get bananas, if you will, for 2028 and 2032. That's where I told you before that many of the price projections for Bitcoin after 2028, so I think and I air quote here, the normal numbers that we get for Bitcoin's price after 2028 into 2029 tend to usually be over 750, 900,000 to over $1 million per coin. Right. PlanB has suggested that it would be surprising if Bitcoin's market cap, which is currently under $1 trillion, which is even insane to think about. Do you know what it takes? Do you know how long it takes for a company to have $1 billion valuation? 1 billion. 1 billion with a B. $1 billion value is completely insane. It takes companies years and years and years. And when you finally get there, some companies manage to, range between 35 billion, maybe you have some over $100 billion, and they are really firmly well established. To get to $1 trillion by yourself, especially as a digital form of currency, is insane. But I mentioned that a lot of times we're so used to seeing these numbers now, it almost doesn't seem fantastic. We see the number 1 trillion everywhere, and it's okay, cool. Cool, amazing. Not realizing what it actually means. He suggested that it would be surprising if Bitcoin's market cap, currently under 1 trillion, actually remained below the market cap of gold, which is currently over 10 trillion after the halving. According to the analyst, this would mean a potential Bitcoin price of over $5 100,000 US dollars, calculated by dividing the gold market value by the total number of Bitcoin, which is roughly around 20 million Bitcoin at this point. That's what I mentioned before as well. It is going to take over 115 years to mine the last 1 million coins. And I think by the time we get to 2032, I think 99% of all Bitcoin will have been mined. And that's the idea that then historically becomes the point where everyone kind of loses their minds. If it's going to take over 100 years to mine the last 1%, and the demand keeps going up, everyone would then essentially be fighting over what's already been mined. And there's already not a lot left, especially when you're talking about the levels of accumulation. This is what I mean. This is why I was asking earlier, how many of you own Bitcoin? It drives my mind insane to hear these numbers. If I told you right now, any other asset on this planet, if I told you this for gold, if I told you this for real estate, imagine there would only ever be 21 million homes on the planet. I know we have more than that, but humor me. And right now we have 20 million homes. For some reason, hurricanes, tornadoes, 4 to 6 million homes are lost and gone forever, and we are like a video game, just incapable of building on top of it. Would you then choose to invest in oranges as opposed to real estate? Even if you had to get a whole bunch of you and your friends together to be like, I own that door, I own that floorboard, so that when rent came, you still got a fragment of how much money you should have gotten. If I told you the same exact thing for gold, we have, for some reason, some thousands of years ago, we got some kind of text that said, this is a gold bar. There's only 21 million of them. For some reason, a lot of people threw them into the ocean. A lot of people threw theirs into space because they wanted the aliens to have some. I don't know what people are doing with their gold. And we knew that it would take 100 years for us to find the last full piece of gold. And that's happening in a couple of years. Like, we would be completely maxed out. When you hear this news about Bitcoin, does it do something? Not like light a fire under you, but what does it do to your investment brain? Does it tell you that you should also have some of it? Even from the basis point of Bitcoin's price is X today. We know that during the halving, Bitcoin's price moves up. So even if Bitcoin did not go to some historically crazy number, it's going to pass by the previous all-time high, and you would know that you would definitely make around twice your money back. Does that do something? If you hear that the thing that people have valued as a form of currency and as a stable form of something in gold is about to be surpassed by something that's been around for 15 years, and in 6-7 years, it'll be the rarest asset on the planet, do you still sit there and go, I think I'm going to get some Shiba Inu instead? I heard Tron might be making a comeback. Do you think that those coins will even be around? Do you understand what it means to have a $1 to $10 million Bitcoin? It means the multitude of altcoins have collapsed. Like, they're not not that they haven't gone down in price, like they're not being used. People have understood that those are coins. Now, this is not financial advice. It's just more of the theory is, if Bitcoin hits really high numbers, everyone else begins to panic and goes, I should have had that the entire time. They sell off other assets. If you find out, in theory, that Bitcoin becomes rarer than gold and has only outperformed every other asset class, look it up. Bitcoin is up by millions of %. What then makes you as an investor and someone in the cryptocurrency space who's been here, I would assume, I tip my hat to thee, nearly every day for all my videos, and you still go, Nah, I don't want that in my portfolio. It's just a question that I have. This would mean a potential price of over 500,000 Bitcoin calculated by dividing the gold market value by the total number of BTC, around 20 million. The stock to flow ratio, which measures rarity, is around 60 for gold. So the number of rarity in the stock to flow. I believe stock to flow is how much is produced per year by the current supply. I forgot exactly what it is. I forgot how it's measured. Stock to flow, which measures rarity, is around the number 60 for gold, the number 100 for real estate, and notably, Bitcoin stock to flow ratio is predicted to reach around 110 after the coming halving. 110 means the increased rarity after the halving has actually happened. According to PlanB, Bitcoin's price is likely to rise as high as 55,000 before the next halving event. That is the most conservative that we have seen. The other pre-halving or day of halving prices range anywhere from 75,000 to the illustrious over $100,000 per coin. The event, scheduled to take place sometime in April, will be reducing Bitcoin's block reward by half, thus the halving, to 3.125 Bitcoin, making Bitcoin rarer than ever. PlanB expects Bitcoin's price to reach as high as $532 in the long term. This extremely bullish price call is set for the year 2025. We have a lot on our plate. I understand. I stay away from the news, but of course, it gets thrown at you wherever you are on the internet. And coupled with all the, layoffs that are happening now and the rumbles once again in the banking system, the news that we're getting about the Fed and interest rates, which is still so shocking to me, that people for some reason believed that the Fed was immediately going to lower interest rates when they said that they weren't going to, and then markets fell when they didn't. I don't know if people were just not listening to what they were actually saying. It's going to be a very intense year. Let me not sugarcoat it. But the really interesting part is that, and this is the part that kind of gets me, is that everyone's generally on the exact same level. We haven't had any crazy, no, Bitcoin's not going to move anywhere kind of predictions. Everything is kind of on the idea of the up and up. It's just a matter of where they land on that spectrum. The lowest being around 200 to 250,000 next year, to around $600,000 next year as the cap of the height. But either way, it's going to be a crazy ride. That's the PlanB stock to flow ratio. So, the moment it happens, we're going to get news about it again, not as far as prices, but the moment we know that it is rarer than gold, I'm sure there must be people who are also, for some reason, my algorithm a couple of days ago was showing me YouTube video suggestions about people buying gold, and it was more the titles were hedge against inflation, save yourself and your family, and it was all that Bitcoin performs better than gold. Why? I don't know. Okay, that's the PlanB news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the popular news, DZ Bank, Germany's second largest bank, apparently plans to roll out a cryptocurrency trading pilot later on this year. This was reported by Bloomberg. Board member Suad Benkreda told Bloomberg the bank, the central institution for some 700 cooperative lenders, wants to list a variety of cryptocurrencies, and that the offering will be, this is kind of weird, the offering will be for customers who can invest without advice. Does that mean smart people? People with a brain? What's a customer who can invest without advice? Okay. They said, and I quote, according to a study by the Genover Band. Okay. Every second bank wants to offer this solution to their customers. Ultimately, each institute makes the decision independently. Genover Band is an auditing and consulting association with more than 2,500 cooperative organizations. A number of years ago, I mean, this was 3 years ago? No, it was 4 years ago. Time is flying by. It was 4 years ago. We heard this at the very tail end of 2019, moving into 2020, around January, before things got really crazy. We heard that there were hundreds of banks in the United States. I think it was the number 300. I think it was 300 banks. And there were several hundred banks in Germany and even more spread across Europe who all wanted to either make their own cryptocurrency exchange and or offer cryptocurrency to their customers. But a lot of that went kind of hush-hush over the last couple of years, as I guess they were dealing with bank failures and collapses and all the other world events that have been going on. If every second bank is trying to offer this to their customers, that's insane to think about, that we would know that there are literally then over 1,000 banks on the planet, or at least from Genover Band, who are trying to offer this to their clients. So maybe we'll start hearing more of this roll out over the course of but it has to. We know that for a fact that BlackRock and Fidelity and all these other banks are also into it. There was also some other news. It's not in this video. I didn't even have one of the tabs open. There's now speculation that 2 other major companies are also going to try and enter the ETF game. It's not, what's it called? It's not Vanguard, but there are 2 other ones. Charles Schwab? I don't remember which ones it was, but there are 2 other big names. It's been like flying through the news the last couple of days. Nothing is concrete, so I won't just bring it to you here and be like, oh my gosh, maybe in 4 days. Like when we have more concrete news, and I'll bring it to you. But there are rumors now that behind the scenes that they're trying to also, or maybe going to be applying for an ETF for Bitcoin spot soon as well. The Frankfurt-based bank, which has $627 billion in assets under management, released a cryptocurrency custody plan in November. The release came months after it announced that it would be using Matico's technology solution to build crypto-related services. Yeah, not the most popular news in the world, but I figured at some point we were going to have at least dozens of banks who are going to be offering something like this to their clients. A couple of them have rolled it out. I think a couple within the US, and I think a handful across Europe, but they're nearly all, if not all, for institutional clients. Therefore, very rich, wealthy clients who are looking for this kind of thing. But I'm looking for the trickle down. The trickle down when even your grandmother walks into a bank and they're like, "Hey, you want some Bitcoin today?" And she's like, "But what?" That's the moment that I'm kind of waiting for. But the way that the planet is made and the way that the planet is run, basically, how do I say this? All the wealthy people are accumulating and will accumulate all the Bitcoin before there's literally only Satoshis left. And I don't know how that's going to work out. Like I can't conceptualize the future where these people are holding on to everything and there's kind of nothing left for normal people. But I mean, look at the world right now. So anyway, that's the DZ Bank is apparently looking out to roll out cryptocurrency trading sometime later this year. News. I'm sure they are. I wonder why. Maybe prices are going to go up. And yeah, let's move on. Also yay, wow, that's crazy. Circle is preparing to launch their US dollar pegged stablecoin, the USDC, on the Celo blockchain network, that is CELO. I was a bit confused as to why, but then it was really obvious. Initially, a standalone blockchain network, Celo is transitioning to become a part of the Ethereum network as a layer 2 scaling solution, We had news back in 2018, 2019 that apparently, allegedly, people within the Coinbase world, maybe even the CEO, are far more keen on Ethereum than they are on Bitcoin. So it would make sense then that if Celo is trying to become an Ethereum layer 2 scaling solution, that Circle would be interested in them because Circle works with Coinbase to make the stablecoin, and therefore they would be putting it on another network that is part of the Ethereum ecosystem as well. Here's a tweet for it right here. It says, 1, native USDC is coming to Celo. Celo is a mobile first, an Ethereum virtual machine compatible blockchain network that's built for the real world. Are other blockchains not built for the real world? Okay. And designed for fast and low cost payments worldwide, as many other blockchains are? Okay. Explore what native USDC on Celo means for the ecosystem. Probably, I'll be honest with you, probably not a lot. The idea is that in order to have more decentralization, air quotes, on these blockchains, you typically want to make sure that your coin is kind of spread across multiple other chains on the off chance that something should happen to one chain. You don't want to have everything just being created in one place. It's not very smart. And it also does like a little bit for the idea of decentralization when it comes to maybe securities laws or having I don't know. It's always a little bit weird, but fantastic. I'll say it this way. There are a lot of new coins that are popping up. And just because someone is putting a stable coin on them does not necessarily mean that you need to add that coin to your portfolio. It's happening all across the board. There was some Tron news a couple of days ago. So for those of you who don't know, Tron has a stable coin that no one's using, and it's moving to some other chain to also create it natively as well. And people were trying to hype it up, and I was like, no, it's a garbage chain with a garbage stable coin trying to move to a brand new network. And it's like, it's not something that you have to rush to, because there are actual chains, Ethereum, that are actually being used as the most used blockchains on the planet. So, yeah. Alrighty. I think that's actually going to do it for this video. I do hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope you can all give me a reasonable answer as to why you do or do not own Bitcoin, because I don't want to sit here in the year 2029 having this conversation and hear a whole bunch of like, well, hindsight, I should have gotten some, because, I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.